Once upon a time, there was a young man called Jason Burns, who went off like a valiant knight to fight the militant atheist. He experienced many, many blows from these militant atheists. They told him many, many lies. They attacked him mercilessly and tried to investigate his life and tried to attack him in all sorts of ways. But they didn't realize that this Jason Burns was a very strong character. And when he's in a fight, he never gives up. Christians looked on and thought it was very strange. Quite an unusual Christian, this Jason Burns. This Jason Burns had mood swings like the weather, but he was very funny, and sometimes he said things that made the atheists scratch their head and think very hard. But one thing the atheists never reckoned with, that their opponent, Jason Burns, was absolutely tenacious, and he never ever gave in. Jason Burns lost a few battles. He was ambushed once or twice by these militant atheists. One of his mortal enemies, who had a bit of a fixation on Jason, I don't know whether his mortal enemy was that other way inclined, if you know what I mean, but he did have a bit of a fixation on Jason. He abused him verbally once or twice on shows, but it never fazed Jason because he was determined. He knew what he was after, and he knew where he was going. So Jason kept going, and the atheists kept coming after him. Comment after comment, perhaps over 100,000 comments in all. 99.9% of them absolutely nasty. The wishy-washy Judas Christians never did their thing, but just stood by. Some of them stabbed him in his back. They never realized that Jason was tenacious. Over time, Jason's character began to get better and better. Time heals, you know. Then one day, Jason was fully who he should have been. And he made a rearguard action, and he gave a lecture on did Jesus Christ rise from the dead, and backed it up with a paper. It was not his world-class paper, but it was a paper. And what do you know? The mouths of the lions were shut. Those who had big mouths were not able to confound him, but kept quiet, resorting to little debates with people who they can just pick on, rather than actually taking on the man himself. And when one atheist, or maybe two, did make comments and write something, it was so beneath Jason that he dispatched those comments with a few videos. And so there our tale ends. You will find, in the land of militant atheism, where the lies are thick and the hypocrisy stinks, you will find in the midst of all this the story of Jason Burns. he finally made those militant atheists shut up. And he did not do it with cyberbullying like they do. And he did not try underhanded tactics like they do. He just gave a lecture and wrote a paper. Thus ends the story of Jason Byrnes.